There are places where football is just a game. And then there's Buffalo, a city built on steel, snow, and stubborn pride, where winters bite hard and hearts beat harder, where every Sunday 70,000 people gather, no matter the cold, no matter the pain, because hope is part of their DNA. And in the early 1990s, that hope was alive like never before. For 4 unforgettable years, the Buffalo Bills stood on the doorstep of immortality. 4 straight Super Bowls, one of the greatest runs in NFL history. But the trophy never came home. This is not a story about losing. It's a story about surviving heartbreak, again and again. It's a story about the team that broke hearts and the city that loved them anyway. The story begins in the late 1980s. The Bills were a struggling team, buried in the standings and mocked around the league. But then came a man named Marv Levy, a philosopher in a headset, a coach who quoted Shakespeare and believed in mental toughness as much as playbooks. And then came Jim Kelly, the quarterback with a rocket arm and a fiery soul. He didn't want Buffalo at first. He had played in the USFL, dreaming of Miami sunshine. But when the league folded, destiny and Buffalo called him home. With Thurman Thomas, the relentless running back, Andre Reed, the quiet, sure-handed receiver, and Bruce Smith, a defensive force of nature, a core was born. Tough, loyal, and hungry. They created something the NFL had never seen before, a no-huddle offense that moved at the speed of chaos, snapping the ball before the defense could even breathe. They called it the K-Gun after backup tight end Keith McKellar, but it might as well have stood for killer instinct. By 1990, they weren't just good, they were terrifying. They averaged nearly 30 points a game and stormed through the playoffs like a hurricane. Buffalo, the cold, albeit forgotten city, was suddenly at the center of football's universe. And then came the moment they'd waited for, Super Bowl 25, January 27, 1991. Tampa, Florida. Buffalo Bills versus New York Giants. 2 very different teams. The Bills, fast, explosive, emotional. The Giants, slow, methodical, suffocating. For 60 minutes they traded blows like prize fighters. Thurman Thomas ran like a man possessed, slicing through defenders. But the Giants, led by coach Bill Parcells, had a plan. Bleed the clock, keep the ball away from Buffalo's offense. When the final minute arrived, the score was 22-19. Buffalo trailed by 1. They had one last chance. Quarterback Jim Kelly led a calm, desperate drive. The crowd held its breath as the Bills lined up for the field goal that could win it all. Scott Norwood, the kicker, jogged onto the field. 47 yards. Grass surface, the weight of an entire city on his right foot. The snap was good. The hold was perfect. The ball rose into the Florida night, and then, at the last instant, it sailed wide right. The stadium gasped. Bills players fell to their knees. Jim Kelly buried his face in his helmet. Scott Norwood stood frozen, alone. Buffalo had come one kick away from eternal glory, but glory slipped through their fingers. When the team plane landed back home, thousands of fans stood in the snow holding signs that read, "We still love you." In most cities, failure brings shame. In Buffalo, it brought family. But fate wasn't done testing them. The next season, the Bills came back with fire in their eyes. They stormed through the AFC again, faster, sharper, meaner. Jim Kelly threw lasers. Bruce Smith destroyed quarterbacks. Andre Reed caught everything that moved. They believed they'd exorcise the ghost of wide right. Super Bowl 16, Minneapolis, Minnesota. The Washington Redskins waited, bigger, deeper, and more disciplined. From the first quarter, it was a nightmare. Washington dominated the line of scrimmage. Buffalo's offense, the same unstoppable K-gun, sputtered. Mistakes piled up. Thurman Thomas lost his helmet and missed a play that would haunt him for years. Every bounce, every call, every bit of luck went against them. Final score, 37-24. This time there were no tears, just silence. The second heartbreak cut deeper than the first. Sports writers called them soft. Fans from other cities mocked them. But in Buffalo, the belief still burned. They'd come back. They always did. Year 3. The Bills, incredibly, made the Super Bowl again. No one had ever done it. 3 in a row. But waiting for them in Pasadena was a new kind of monster. The Dallas Cowboys. Young, cocky, unstoppable. Troy Aikman, Emmitt Smith, Michael Irvin. The new dynasty. The game started like a dream and ended like a nightmare. A fumble, an interception, another fumble. The Cowboys turned every mistake into points. By halftime, it was over. Final score, 52-17. The biggest Super Bowl blowout at the time. The Bills were humiliated on the world's biggest stage. When the game ended, Buffalo players walked off the field in silence. Some said they could hear Dallas laughing from across the tunnel. Still, the next year, unbelievably, they came back again. The 1993 season was supposed to be different. This time, they weren't the favorites. They were the survivors, and they had already shown their heart in what became known as the comeback game, a playoff game against the Houston Oilers. Down 35-3 in the third quarter, fans leaving the stadium hopeless. And then, something unthinkable. Backup quarterback Frank Reich led one of the greatest comebacks in NFL history. The Bills won 41-38. Buffalo was electric again. The team of miracles was headed to their 4th straight Super Bowl. Their opponent, the same as last year, the Dallas Cowboys. This time it looked promising. The Bills led 13-6 at halftime. For a moment, the ghosts disappeared. Fans whispered, "This is the one." Then, disaster returned. Thurman Thomas fumbled. Emmitt Smith, Dallas's machine of a running back, took over. Drive after drive, he crushed Buffalo's spirit. Final score, 30-13. The 4th loss, the 4th heartbreak. 4 straight Super Bowls, a record that may never be matched, and one no team ever wants to repeat. When the lights went out on that final Super Bowl, the dynasty that never was came to an end. But something extraordinary remained. Because what the Bills gave their city wasn't just football, it was hope. They made Buffalo believe in impossible things. They gave people in factory towns and frozen neighborhoods something to hold on to, a reason to cheer, to gather, to belong. Over time, legends retired. Jim Kelly, Thurman Thomas, Bruce Smith, Andre Reed. Men who had given everything and walked away with nothing tangible, except the love of an entire city. Years later, they were still heroes. In the stadium, fans still wore wide right shirts, not as shame, but as memory. A reminder that they had been close enough to feel it. History can be cruel. It crowns champions and forgets the rest. But every once in a while, it remembers those who dared too much. Buffalo dared too much. They lost 4 times on the biggest stage in sports, and still they came back every single year. That kind of resilience is rare. It's not just football. It's the essence of the human spirit. For years, Buffalo carried the weight of those losses. Fans from other cities mocked them, 4-time losers. But inside, the city knew better. They hadn't lost, they had endured. And endurance is a kind of victory. Decades have passed. New players have come and gone. New teams have risen. But the story of those 4 Super Bowls still echoes through the cold Buffalo wind. Today, on any given Sunday, you can walk into Highmark Stadium and feel it, the pulse of those who came before. The fans still chant, "Let's go Buffalo." The city still believes. And every new player who pulls on that blue jersey carries the weight of that history and that pride. Because for Buffalo, the ring isn't the point. The point is standing tall when the world expects you to fall. Between 1990 and 1993, the Buffalo Bills gave us something rare. 4 years of hope, heartbreak, and heart. They may never have lifted the Lombardi Trophy, but they lifted something far heavier, the soul of a city that never stopped believing. And when you look back, through the snow and the tears, maybe you'll see what Buffalo fans always knew, that greatness isn't just about victory. It's about getting up every single time you fall.